It's crazy. Maybe I'll start doing things like this. It's crazy when it comes down to it. You can probably hear this podcast going on in the background. It's crazy because when Candace is talking, they will talk. Candace will point out who she's talking about. All these other podcasters. Officer Tatum said Candace is his sister, but he's talking about Candace in a sneaky way. It's crazy to me because why don't they just come out and say, hey, I'm talking about Candace? Why don't they say, hey, I'm talking about Nick? Why don't they say, hey, I'm talking about PBD? I mean, he's calling them all out. He's saying, if you talk about my friend, I wouldn't allow you to speak on my show. Where to me, you're in content creation. So that means that when you're in content creation, that beat never stops. You lose somebody, it's a battle. That beat never stops. Somebody goes down, you take their ammo and you keep going. Obviously, it hurts, but still, you can hear them right here. They're talking about when these other podcasters brought on Nick Fuentes. They're talking about the PBD podcasts and they're talking about the Tucker Carlson Network, which is crazy to me. Why not be as direct as possible for what you're trying to get at with whatever point you're trying to address? Especially if you believe that when it comes down to it, it is what it is. I think it's crazy because Officer Tatum, specifically, said Candace is his sister. And not only that, but Candace looks at Officer Tatum like that's her brother. And they both pretty much said it. They said that I'm not going to go against my brother or my sister. They made statements like that. But now, subvertively, you got Officer Tatum going at Candace and going at Tucker. It's crazy. I mean, you have to have somebody that's adversarial because of what they believe. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that because at the foundation of it, what Candace is doing is Candace is focused on what the facts that she's getting, and she's presenting them as she gets them. She's not polishing them up. She's making sure she proofs them as best she can so that she can get that information out. But a lot of these other podcasters, they say Charlie's their friend, and they're going to sit there and they're going to make it like, Tucker's bad, but they're not going to say Tucker. They're going to make it like Charlie's bad, but they're not going to make a comment about Candace. They're not going to make a comment and say this Candace. They're not going to make a comment and say this the PBD podcast. It's crazy to me. Because why not just come out? Why not come out and hold them accountable? Why not come out and make a statement? It doesn't have to be a mean statement. It just has to be honest. If you think that Candace is out of line, say, hey, Candace, come on the show. I think you're out of line. What they're doing is they're speaking around the bush. This person did this and that, did this and that. It's crazy. And you know it's Candace that they're talking about specifically because they said every other podcast they talk about is talking about Israel. You know they're talking about Candace. I wonder, they're like throwing mud, man. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy. And I don't own this content right here. This is just fair use. This is the Officer Tatum show. It's crazy. A lot of them are sitting here talking about Candace. Where just like I said, what Candace is doing is she's just exposing the facts as they come in. They thought she was crazy with everything going on with the president in France, his wife, that person. Guess what? She wasn't crazy. When she came out and Ye needed support, and everybody said Ye's going crazy, and Ye kept saying they're trying to drug me, she's the one that supported him. Was she crazy? I don't think so. When they kicked her off of the Daily Wire, they thought she was going to bomb and fail. Guess what? She's winning. She's winning because she's being honest, step by step, honest with her own feelings. She's not trying to be corporate with it. She's just trying to be flat out honest with it. And you have to respect someone that's being 100% honest with what they believe. Because that doesn't mean that's going to change, right? It means that the circumstances will change, but they're still going to be direct with you with the way that they feel. The way that they feel is not going to change. That's like a strong boat. That's like a carrier in the ocean. If it flows from east to west, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from hot or cold, into the Caribbean or into the storm, that ship is going to perform the same way. It's going to get through every storm the same way. It's going to get through the content that's coming out the same way. And that means that if they're pushing corrupt stuff, they're going to keep pushing corrupt stuff no matter what. If they're pushing viable stuff, they're going to keep pushing viable stuff no matter what. But when it comes down to it, they're mad at Candace. They're mad at Tucker. They're mad at PBD. They might not be talking about PBD, but I really feel like they are because Nick came on to 3 top podcasts. One of them was PBD. The second one was Tucker Carlson. I don't know if it had anything to do with Charlie's murder, but I do think it had to do with because of all the comments he made. And to me, Nick is nothing but a troll. What Nick is gonna do is he's gonna make comments. Like I didn't even know until I saw him on the PBD podcast that when it came down to it, that Nick's background is his dad was Spanish Mexican or Mexican. I mean, like they call Nick a white supremacist, but he's half Hispanic or half Mexican from the Chicago area. So when it comes down to it, like there's no way that he can be. And if you saw him when he was on the PBD podcast, he was not outlandish. That means he's a troll. Because that means he'll say stuff to get a response. But he's still young. They even talked about it. Like, what would happen if you were 19, 18, 17 years old and people could bring that content back up and literally every time somebody searched your name, that content came up? There's stuff that your grandparents did that nobody will ever know unless they were there. I had a customer that lived in Denver in Cherry Creek. She was the nicest lady I'd ever met. Super nice. She would take me out for sandwiches sometimes, ask me, do you want to go do this? Guess what? Comes down to it. Her dad was a head bugler in the Nazi army in Nazi Germany. She was on the wrong side in the Nazi army. She would tell me when she would skip to school, she would skip and jump over dead bodies on the way to school. Her husband, her ex-husband, kept telling me that he fought for the Allies. He didn't fight for the Allies. He fought for Germany. They showed me pictures in Cherry Creek that they did like Nazi parties at Helga's, right down in Cherry Creek in that area. When they did those parties down there, they had a Nazi flag that had to have been 20 feet tall and 60 feet wide. Had to be. They did Halloween parties there with the Nazi flag in the background in the back of Helga's. And when they were telling me about what they did in the war there, I was trying to place their age to when they were there. Like when she told me she would skip to school and jump over bodies. To me, I was like, she couldn't have been Jewish, because if she was Jewish, there's no way that she would have been skipping to school, jumping over bodies. There's no way. If she was part of the Allies, there's no way they were skipping to school as kids, jumping over bodies. It finally came out when her husband, who they divorced, but they still lived in the same house. They were super, super wealthy. A lot of people that probably lived in their properties didn't know that the property owner that that owned their property was a Nazi. They probably owned like over 50 or 60 properties in the Denver area. I would even try and put it together when she would tell me about how she gained all her properties. You know, they talked about a lot of the Nazis when they came here. They took assets from Jewish people. They literally collateralized those assets and used them to purchase other things. She's one of them. She purchased an apartment complex near Cheeseman Park. She purchased 3 houses 2 blocks away from the Botanical Gardens. She purchased them all for under $100,000 a piece. And I asked her, I said, so how did you put together this income? She just said, I just started out small. But small, she purchased 10 houses at the same time, which is crazy when you think about it. 10 houses at the same time when she came here from Germany. There's no way she came here on her own and had that much wealth. Maybe she did, but I don't think so. She owned a large 40-acre property up in Longmont. Yeah, it was just crazy. You had to like wrap your mind around where she was talking from. Her husband, when he was getting towards her ex-husband, when he was getting towards the last days, he like I had to help him get some information from his cell phone provider. And when he talked to him on the phone, you know, like when you get towards that last phase of life, people start to go in and out. And what he did is he was telling this lady on the phone, he said, I'm an immigrant. I'm an immigrant from Germany. I was a part of the German army. When he first told me, he told me that he was a part of the American Allies Army. This is when I first talked to him. I knew him for 10 years before they both passed away. It was crazy to think about that their background came from Nazi Germany. I even have pictures of her father in his uniform in the Nazi army. I wish I had pictures of when they took the pictures inside of Helga's with that 20 by 60 flag at the back of Helga's. They showed me probably like 5 or 6 photos in the back of Helga's where, and like some of them were in color. So that's how you know in the 90s, it was still happening. Early 2000s, it was still happening. They talked about they stopped going when they could not be as mobile. And when they passed away, they were in their 80s. Like, isn't that crazy? Just like I said, a lot of people that worked with them did not know, that did work with them, did business with them, banked with them. They just thought they were some wealthy people that had base lives, when that wasn't it. They were Nazis through and through, because they went to those Nazi parties until like they were maybe 78, because they died around 88. It's crazy. Some people, you just don't know who they are. And that undertone doesn't change. Doesn't change at all. Yeah. Appreciate y'all joining me on here. I would never say 6'7". Well, I guess I did, but I don't mean it like that. I appreciate y'all joining on here, jumping on here with me. And y'all have a good day.